Today we want to talk about why it is so important to clean your side of the street first. And why is it that we do the core groups for men and the redeemed groups for women? So as you're dealing with men in the core group, what do you tell them when they're still trying to live in denial?
Yeah, that's a good question. Um, First of all, I tell them that it doesn't do you any good to blame somebody else for this situation. Only you have the power to change you. And the only person that you really can change is you. But the good news there is that I have power to change me. As long as I can see it, I have some power that I can, oh, you mean I can respond differently to this? I don't have to react the way I did in the past. I don't have to carry maybe my childhood stuff that I learned and bring it into this relationship. Maybe I can be really mature, loving husband, which, by the way, I think wives really have no problem being loving towards when a guy is like, you know what, you're really important to me. And I really want this relationship to work well. But I will tell them until you can admit to that, you can't do anything until you clean up your side of the street. And by the way, if your side of the street is really clean, which let's face it, we don't see it clearly. If our side of the street is really clean, it's going to kind of like, well, he's really being nice to me. What do I need to do to be nicer to him? And that's where I want the conversation to go. I really get tired of well, he did this and she did that and blah, 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 and it's just a fight. And so we're trying to avoid the fight. We're trying to look at ourselves and then make the changes. That we call it cleaning up our side of the street. How about with the women? How does that look in those groups?
Yeah, so for the women, our emphasis is more on how to heal, how to find your voice, how to, figure out what it is that you've lost in this and where you want to go. And so the importance of cleaning their side of the street, I really hinge it on this one-liner that I say a lot, that is, you cannot love well if you are not well. And I get some pushback because, they'll tell me it feels so selfish to think about what I need for self-care or for me or whatever. But the bottom line is you cannot love well if you are not well. And so cleaning up their side of the street often looks like taking care of those things that are keeping her from being able to think clearly, respond in a way that's congruent with the kind of person she wants to be, so that she can sit in a conversation with her spouse and maintain her sense of self without moving into fear or defensiveness, so that at the end of the day, she can love well.
And what guy wouldn't want to have a wife who feels totally safe in her own being and can then actually offer loving care, support? Mostly what I hear guys saying is that they really want their wives to just be loving and kind to them, and they wonder why they feel like their wives are trying to rule over them. And I don't think that's really the motivator. But for many guys who really are like pride themselves on being in charge of things, any hint of somebody gets to say something to me that I don't like, they react negatively to it. Maybe in the business world, you want to be careful, but that's not where these guys have the problem. They always have the problem with their wife. And I think that's because in the business world, in the public domain, wherever we're at, we can present ourselves any way we want to. But when it gets to be closer and more intimate and caring, our wife, our spouse, that significant person in our lives, they know our stuff. They know it's messed up. And by the way, they're still choosing to be there with you. And I try to point that out a lot. But there's no sense in trying to protect yourself from that. You just have to share it. You got to accept that, okay, I am not so perfect here, am I? And just kind of say, well, but I really do love you, and I really do want to show you that I love you. And so I actually do a number of things with guys, try to help them understand how to love their wives better. I suggest things to read, things that will encourage them to try new things, to journal every day about how they actually love their spouse and what do they do to show it. A lot of guys aren't very good at that. They just aren't. And if they invested a little bit more time, they would probably find a lot more love and care. So,
yeah, I think for both men and women, one of the things they learn in these groups is once they can get past the fear of doing something different and get over the ways that they're hiding or defending themselves, when you put right in front of them practical, everyday things to implement that will change their marriage, like most often they will step into that, because all of us are desperate for change, desperate for something better. And so having someone help make it practical and clear is really often they will latch a hold of that and do something with it.
yeah.
If you are interested in joining a core group or a redeemed group, or would like more help to heal from narcissistic and emotional abuse in your marriage, call our client care team at 206-219-0145. We'd love to help you get started.